A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hyderabad. Welcome to OpenSSF Community Day. It's such a pleasure seeing a lot of you here. If there's others outside who you know, just feel free to text them and ask them to come in. But thank you for being punctual. uh, how many folks were at the OpenSSF Day in Delhi last year? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, so despite that, you decided to come. So thank you. Thank you for the others for coming to this for the first time. Last year was our inaugural edition, but I like to think this one is a little more special. My name is Ram. I work with the community specifically in India on behalf of the OpenSSF. So I do a bunch of stuff around creating a community and curating the community, doing events and things like that throughout the year, mostly focused on India-based things. And on behalf of the OpenSSF, once again, a big welcome. Top two priorities here are A, did you get breakfast? I mean, if you're very quiet, it feels like you've not eaten something. That's what my grandmother always says, like, eat and go, otherwise you can't like talk and stuff. Priority number two, did you get your t-shirts? Yes. I love them because I love the color, because it's not a black t-shirt, because I'm bored of black t-shirts. But big thanks to like the LF events team for picking a color that I love. And let's get on with things, okay? So for those of you who are not already aware, there is a Linux Foundation Code of Conduct which will be enforced. Basically, it is, shut your mouth, keep your hands to yourself. When in doubt, refer to rule number 1. Your badges have the schedule, but if not, you can scan this for the schedule for the day. I'll kick things off. Once again, like I said, my name is Ram. I am the community lead for all of the OpenSSF work that's based out of India. So that means events, that means memberships, that means any sort of technical issues that you might have or any sort of consultative stuff I can help with in terms of putting together an open source security strategy. I think this event should have been yesterday, because yesterday was Friendship Day. Of course, I was hanging around with a lot of who I thought were friends, but nobody wished me. Maybe I'm too old, or maybe they're just too forgetful, or they're just not nice people. But the reason I think this event should have been yesterday is because there's developers in the office and there's security people in the office, and for some reason they're not friends. All right? Most of the dev folks don't seem to like these security people, and so in order to not just cultivate like a sense of camaraderie, but like make security more essential, more important, and more prominent in the dev cycle, I think we should have celebrated Friendship Day as the OpenSSF Community Day. Even when I look through my LinkedIn and I search for like DevSecOps, I seem to know like 1,000 people who claim DevSecOps on their LinkedIn profiles. But if I go and ask them, do you scan your containers after you build them? The answer is no. So some of them are in this room. I don't care. Like, do better. And the other thing I like about this whole setup, though, is obviously there's KubeCon, which is what most of you are here for, I know. But the day before KubeCon and all of this container circus begins, we're doing Open Source Summit, all right? And it's good to put the focus on open source ahead of Kubernetes and ahead of containers and all of that, because like open source is the driver for a lot of these things, and it's important focus. But even before that, we're doing security in open source, and that's like a big deal for me. So we're putting security first, and that's the mindset we want everybody to have. We're doing open source next, and then the container circus can begin, right? So that's what it all is, and I'm glad that Hyderabad is getting its priorities right. But what's like Hyderabad's big security story? And I was thinking about this yesterday. They have a beautiful building that everybody is taking pictures of. So I don't know how many people are not from Hyderabad, show of hands. Yeah, so this is the Hyderabad Cyber Security Office. Pretty fancy building, I think. And it makes for a good skyline, makes for nice pictures and all. But this is the building that screams security for me. So this is a picture of Golconda Fort. If you've not been there, I highly recommend going very early in the morning, because like you'll become a sweaty pig if you go later in the day. You have to trek a fair bit to go up and explore everything, but like there's a lot of security, that architecture that basically went into building the Golconda Fort, and the whole inspiration for today's talk came from there, right? I obviously was working there. Obviously, I wasn't, but like there's 4 pillars that we want our entire security conversation to focus on as the OpenSSF. Now, the thing with the OpenSSF is a lot of people tend to confuse what brand of security we are. OpenSSF tends to be a very specific, opinionated kind of security that is focused on securing open source projects. It might not always apply or appeal to those who are working on stuff that's web applications or mobile applications or, I don't know, blockchain or things like that. But the idea is, if you're using open source in your workplace, if you're using open source to build any of your other projects, how best can you ensure security for yourself? So there's certain assumptions that a lot of the OpenSSF projects and the work that we do make. And so it's a big challenge. And so I imagine that work about the OpenSSF, especially in terms of getting more people to learn and participate in things, happens in 4 pillars. And every time I say 4 in Hyderabad, there's a theme to it, right? So the first thing I individually and us as a foundation want to focus on is education. So we really need to educate everyone in terms of what the OpenSSF is, but also how insecure your open source work can be. So there's a lot of work that goes on in terms of prepping people to learn about open source security. And we have courses, we have all of these things. And we'll talk about that a few times today. And it's going to be a recurring theme, so kind of bear with us. The other thing is, a lot of change has to be in effect in terms of the policy work that happens. The third thing that we do is work with the community. I mean, that's what pays me. So there's a lot of community focus in what we do. But obviously there's also like projects. So you can work in terms of participating and working with projects and things like that. So these are like the 4 main pillars. And obviously I can't say 4 pillars in Hyderabad without saying Charminar. Right? It was right there. And so let's focus on each of these themes in a little more detail. So the first theme we wanted to talk about are the education themes and updates. So there's tons and tons of courses available as part of LF education and training. Where is Faz in the room? Yeah, he's right at the back. So Faz runs LF edu and training. He's based out of Bangalore. He's an amazing person. Talk to him about how you can use free courses, but Faz is going to do a short presentation anyway, so he'll definitely help you out. But specifically for the OpenSSF, we've had tons of great reception for all of the courses that we put out so far, and we're also introducing new courses around AI, around policy insecurity, around CRA, which is like a big thing in Europe. If you're doing business in the EU, you probably have to know CRA, things like that. And then this is a quick list of all of the courses that we have. Faz will definitely share links during his presentation. He'll show you where to get it. But you can just browse through OpenSSF and look for the courses, etc. We try to make as many free as possible, so do try and complete them. And speaking of CRA and policy, there's a lot of stuff that the OpenSSF does to engage in the public sector. So we want to shape how countries and governments think in terms of policies around open source and policies for education around open source and things like that. And so 2 of the big spaces we engage in is obviously partially in the US, a lot in the EU, but also like United Nations is a big partner for the OpenSSF in taking forward a lot of the policy work. And like I said, there's some CRA stuff that we've started to do recently. in India, we're yet to do a lot of policy work around open source. So this is not meant to deride any work, but if you have any sort of links to people who do policy work in the public sector, in the government, in the DPI, in the digital goods infrastructure space, please have them get in touch with the OpenSSF. We'd love to work with these folks, whether it's at like the union or central level, or whether it's like at a state level or something. I'm very happy to spawn conversations about open source and open source security and policy around open source in any of these spaces. Hopefully this slide will have a lot more updates when we have this conversation next year. In terms of the community, the big reason we're working on community stuff is, unlike a lot of other technical areas, the success of security work largely depends on who we are as a community and how well we come together. So it's important that the community, comes together, stays together, does a lot of work in helping each other, and also creating like a safe space where we can come together as technologists and as engineers to discuss stuff around security and around open source security. I think a lot of that is missing. There are communities around open source and open source security specifically, but the focus for some reason is not around where these two intersect. It's either some security stuff that's a little too obscure, or it's some open source stuff that's again projects and not quite security focused. So we'd like for more of that to happen, and this is a list of places where the OpenSSF team is going to be. So if you are going to be there, or if your colleagues are going to be there, or people from your companies, some kind of representatives are going to be there, I highly recommend stepping up to the OpenSSF booth, participate in whatever form or manner you want to. And then we also recognize a lot of contributors in the community. So we have what is known as a Golden Egg Award. So one of the running themes in the OpenSSF is we have a mascot named Honk, which is like a goose. And then we honor the community members who've contributed specifically to open source with a Golden Egg Award. And these are the winners from this year. Yeah, all of them are this year's winners. And we were able to, reach important people in different organizations that focus on OpenSSF, things like that. Last year, we gave it to the person who discovered the XZ backdoor, for example. So we look at security achievements, but again, it doesn't have to be something very fancy and very technical like that. If you're a security champion in the community, there's a good chance that you might win the award as well. So it's great to be recognized by a vendor-neutral open source foundation for a lot of the security work that goes on, I think. I also host a bunch of different live streams on YouTube. So if you are interested in, obviously you're interested in security, that's why you're here. If you're interested in listening to a security conversation, I highly recommend checking it out. It's on the OpenSSF channel on YouTube. I'm very happy to take guests from this audience as well. There's stuff that, there's a roster that I keep maintaining of people who want to talk. So if you'd like to feature your security work on the podcast, I'm more than happy to do so. It's not just about showcasing technical projects. There's a lot of stuff that we do around security culture and things like that as well. This is a podcast that you can also listen to. So What's in the Sauce is hosted by Krob, who's one of the important evangelists in the OpenSSF, has been doing OpenSSF stuff for a very long time. And there's also Yesenia, who also helps with a lot of the OpenSSF evangelism work. And both of them either take turns or swap and things like that, and they host the podcast. So again, if you like listening to security stuff and you don't want me as a host, so you choose the podcast instead. All right. And finally, let's take a quick look at the project. So there's a bunch of different projects that have been contributed to the foundation, a bunch of different projects that we've spawned. This is some new news about all of those. There's also a few new working groups. And one of the things that we're so proud to have announced this year is the BEAR working group. So it's meant to be for inclusivity and making sure that everybody has access to a lot of the work that happens in the foundation. And as a technology community, we're supporting a lot of the work that still needs to be done to make it a more diverse and inclusive community. Obviously, I can't get on stage and not talk about AI. That's the norm these days. But I just wanted to let you know that there's a couple of areas where we're focusing specifically on AI and security. So in the US, there is an AI challenge that the OpenSSF is working on along with DARPA, which is like the Central Defense Organization. And so we're curating a lot of the people that have submitted in terms of what they're doing and how they want to deliver it, etc. And there's going to be, I think at Black Hat, the final set of presentations is going to be a winner and all of that fun stuff. And there's a lot of overlap between what the OpenSSF is doing for them and what they want accomplished. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is if you're in the business of doing AI models and models as containers and things, there's a project called Model Signing that was just accepted as like the first AI project. So it helps you build more trust in your AI infrastructure and in your model signature and things like that. If folks at the back are looking for spaces to sit, there's a few in the middle here. So if you can help them, that'd be great. Obviously, continue to pay attention to me, but I'm just going to very quickly wrap this up. There's tons and tons of ways to get involved. Ways to get involved don't necessarily mean you have to like write a lot of code on a Sunday evening. It can mean something as simple as trying some of the projects, reporting where there are breakages, finding any gaps in documentation, reporting those. Documentation really needs the help of the community. So it can be very simple tasks. You can even give a talk about some OpenSSF projects in your local community meetups. I'm more than happy to mentor you and support you and things like that. But there's tons of working groups depending on what your areas of interest are. Some might be technical, some might be non-technical folks. So it really doesn't matter. So check out all of the different working groups, what they do, how you can help. It's about showing up to begin with. And then you can think about doing a technical or a non-technical contribution, things like that. All right. And lastly, have a great event. I'll get off stage now. I know we have tons and tons of speakers who have something amazing to share. So have a great event. If there's anything at all I can do, please don't hesitate to stop me. I'll just be buzzing around one of these spaces or outside. There's also Evie at the back there. She's the LF staff. You can reach her with any questions you have about food, about event, about the schedule, whatever. Except she doesn't know where the best biryani in Hyderabad is yet, because I'm yet to take her there tomorrow. Except for that, she can help you with anything at all. That being said, first speaker of the day, where's my man Rishabh? Please put your hands together and give a big OpenSSF welcome to Rishabh.